to be able to start with the word of prayer. So we can bow down for a word of prayer in the name of the Father. Precious Father in heaven, thank you for the gift of life and thank you for the gift of today. As we're going to start this day, we ask that, Lord, you may be able to bless each of us so that we can be able to move smoothly for the program. We ask that whatever we're going to share, whatever we're going to deliberate on today, you can be able to guide us so that we can be able to put it into action in terms of our businesses and to be able to better them. I pray this short prayer, trusting and believing in your holy name. In terms of digitalization, where am I positioning myself? So those are some of the things you'll be able to look at. I was just trying to look at, before we start, I was just trying to look at this topic for digitalization forum for SMEs. Whenever I was looking at it, it reminded me of some instances which have happened throughout the history, which makes us to be able to change a lot of things the way we do it. The first thing which came to mind, I remembered about Nokia. I remember at one point, Nokia rejected the Android system. Whenever technology was changing, for them, they could be able to say that what they want to do is that they decided now to be able to maintain with Windows. Because they thought that by then, that was the best that was the best system for them to be able to use. But look what happened. You remember all of you that at some point even the CEO was saying that we were not able to embrace change, but at the same time what happened? They were able to be pushed out the market. The second one I remember is about Yahoo. You remember Yahoo at one point also rejected Google. When you try to look at, even if I ask randomly here, I know there are very many few people entrepreneurs who are using Google. Everyone is using Gmail account. But they had the platform because back days, you'll be able to realize that whenever we could be able to speak about in terms of the exchanging the email, everyone used to have Yahoo. But then because of, they could not be able to digitalize and be able to see where the world was heading to, they were able to be left behind. The third story. Everyone knows Kodak. They could not be able to, they turned out in terms of embracing the digital cameras. You remember Kodak those days, where you used to go there, be taken photos. There was something like a negative, you go with it. Yeah, so, woe unto you if you lost that one. Because there's no way they could be able to do what? Identify you. So that is the one you used to go with it. Then you come back later, so they can be able to use that for what? For them identifying you. So they had the platform, they had people. Because I remember those days, whenever it was on weekend, you just go to a place, you take a lot of photos, whenever there's Christmas period. So people could be able to, people had bought into the idea. So they had the personnel, they had the positioning, but they could not be able to embrace change. They could not be able to see that where we are right now, we need to improve. So when you try to look at them right now, you'll be able to say that they were pushed out because they could not be able to embrace everything the way it was changing. And the last one, you'll be able to say that there's this, it's called Blockbuster. It's also rejected. At some point, Netflix was pitching to them, telling them that we're looking at the future of movies. What you're doing is that because the Blockbuster, you realize that especially in the US, people used to go there, watch movies a lot, but then Netflix was trying to sell to them an idea of asking them, how, instead of people coming to camp and watch, how can we be able now to digitalize, create like a platform where people can be able to subscribe and watch at the comfort of their homes. That was the idea they were trying to sell them. But because they could not be able to pick it up, they were left out. So when you try to look at what we're going to discuss today, you need to ask yourself that this world where we are, there's a lot of disruptions which are happening every day. Everything is digital. Nowadays, even if it's your business, someone is going to check your website to be able to check what you're doing in terms of the visibility. In terms of processes, how can you be able, because we want to be able to ensure that you shorten your processes but still be effective. So they are looking at how are you positioning yourself in the business so that you also in the next 5-10 years, people will not be able to say that you had a wonderful idea to be able to ensure that you position your business for the future, but you needed to embrace it, and you've done what? You've been pushed out of the market. So by the time we finish the program today, ask yourself, how am I positioning my business for the future? This is the future where we're starting today. Everything is digital. Everything, that is the way it's going in terms of streamlining processes, in terms of ensuring that there is efficiency more in your business. So that is just a snapshot of what you need to rethink of yourself and see how have you positioned yourself in terms of the business today. It was just a brainstorming, something to think about before we'll be able to start. And at this point, I want to invite Raymond Mutua. He will be able to give a brief introduction about the Digital Forum and its objectives. And also he'll be able now to give us a snap view of also about of the expectations in terms of the forum today. Thank you. Raymond.
Good morning, entrepreneurs. Good morning. We have entrepreneurs here. There are many entrepreneurs. So as you've been told, my name is Raymond Mutura. I've been trying to journey through cracking my head on this topic of digitization. It's actually and for MSME specifically, it's actually my PhD topic. Yeah. I'm looking at the topic on digital innovations in family businesses. Yeah, but of course family businesses are also entrepreneurs. Yeah. So about 2 weeks ago, I decided to test my ideas with a group of people who are here, trying to study how they can help their businesses. Yeah? So they are owner managers. And in the process, I felt that it would be nice to try and understand what do people know or what do they think they know about digitalization. So I'm going to run just two questions to hear from you as well, because I'm very keen to understand what do people know about this topic. I know there is a lot of it being known out there, but how does it relate to you as an MSME, as a person who is in the driving seat, who is meant to make these decisions? So we will try to, at the end of this forum, one of the things we're trying to do is to demystify these concepts, these ideas, so that we can be very clear on how we need to apply them. Yeah? So we'll try and look at what is the concept, what is the digital concept. We'll try and understand why we need to think about it as businesses, and probably begin to come with some ideas on how we need to go about digitizing for our own MSMEs. Yeah? So that's what we're going to do. I was just thinking, so I don't know whether you're able to, there's a nice tool called slido.com, so I just wanted you to pick your phones, and our code, just in case you need to use our Wi-Fi, is Strathmore, but the first S is a 5, and the O in the Strathmore is at 0. Yeah? So you can get into our Wi-Fi SBS net if you need to. If you have your own data, you can go through it. So I just want to hear from you. When I hear the term digitization, what comes to mind in one word? And I want the panelists, as they see these words, they start talking, because we want to demystify these concepts from ourselves. What is it? What comes to you in one word? So efficiency, automation, online, those words, let's try and see how we can get the business people. And if you're here representing the technology people, you're here probably you were sent because you are the Joroge. We can go back and share this message, that it's not a Joroge conversation, it's a business conversation. Okay, then the next question is a bit difficult. So they are both different things you keep hearing about, when you are dealing with Joroges or you're dealing with consultants. So I wanted you to go through this, and I think it should be there in the next question. There are about 10 concepts. And if you play around, you can rank them. I wanted you to rank them. I see what do you see as important? So there are 10 issues. So every time you select one, it's the one that will go first. So just rank them, So let me just say so there is types of enterprise technologies, deployment of technology, customization versus configuration, business requirements, organizational change, project governance, Are we managing? Anyone's lost? You're very intelligent. Or you're the Jeroges here who know technology. Maybe all Jeroges or Wajikos who are the people who did technology. Because I had a bit of a challenge with the previous class, I tried to get them to think about this. So out of these 10 concepts, what is the most important? Because then it will help us understand what is our frame of mind when thinking about this topic we are calling digital transformation. Then my panelists, I'm hoping you've been able to internalize those words, automation, efficiency, online, as critical areas or terms that people are thinking about here. And then we try to help them demystify and apply this or these terms to their businesses. Yeah. Okay, so far a number of you really participating actively. That was a bit of a difficult question. I'm beginning to see it's raising the same answers as also the other group. We had a group of about 38. Pick this picture so that when you're going back to discuss with the rest of the business, you tell them it's not a technology conversation, it's a business conversation. And therefore what we need to do is to ask ourselves, how do we navigate around those business concepts and come up with clear ideas on how we need to address them so that then we can embrace the efficiency we are looking at. We're looking at efficiency. If we look at really what is coming to our mind is efficiency, is online, is automation. But behind it also is be very clear on the concepts behind digitization or digital transformation. So with that, I think now we kind of have an objective. The panelists, we have those 5 topics, business requirements, types of enterprise technology, organizational change management, project governance and integration to think about. Okay, so karibuni sana, let's see whether we come up with something that will help us solve some of the things that are on top of our heads collectively. Yeah? So of course this is each one of you individually was able to say something, but if you look at us collectively, these are our concerns. Asanteni sana. So I ask Luis to take us to the next presentation.
Thank you, Daktari. Thank you, Raymond. You've been able to give us a good overview. And the best part is that the way we started by saying that this will be driven by you. I like that approach because we did want to be able to engage you based on what we're telling that we're experts on the same. We also wanted to also have your perspective, which you've been able to do very well in terms of telling us your views, so that as the panelists, the way you've been able to mention that as the panelists are going to engage you, they'll be engaging you based on what the real-time issues are. At this juncture, the way I did start by saying that you're the ecosystem of entrepreneurship, and you know a lot that when you Strathmore, one of the key things we always strive on is a lot about research. The keynote presentation, which is going to be offered by Marianne, you'll be able to realize that this is based on the research which has been done, which is the MSMEs in the context of the digital market. She will be able to give us an exposition of the Institute Impact Assessment. And also, with that one, it will go to be able to highlight in terms of the critical conclusions about systems, growth, and digitalization. We've been able to do, as the Institute, been able to do a lot of research on this area. And now, Mariana will be able to give us an overview in terms of the findings and also to what extent the impact has to the market. So at this juncture, allow me to invite Mariana Kott to be able to give a keynote address, who is the Director of Programs at ISBE. A round of applause.
toughest job, to talk to you all about research. I think subliminally you've all sort of switched off. You're waiting for the Zoho demo. I know what's happening in your mind. But I promise I'll try to make it as engaging and as relevant as possible, bearing in mind the different audiences we have in the room. Before I start, I'd like to recognize, of course, our partners, Zoho, from Zoho Corporation, and also Family Bank. Thank you so much. But also, most importantly, no offense to you both, our entrepreneurs who are here to really learn and be a part of this process. So at ISB, we're entrepreneurs first, and we're always happy to work together with partners who are like-minded. So thank you again so much, Family Bank and Zoho, for gracing us. So I will talk about MSMEs in the context of a digital market. And the point here is to kind of set the stage to get you all to understand what's really happening within the MSMEs in terms of how you are organizing your businesses versus what is happening, because we know squeezing kitu ni digital, right? We're in a digital space. We've just done a poll on Slido. I think everyone here had a smartphone, right? But there's something peculiar that's happening, and it's not, it's kind of Kenyan of us, right? Our MSMEs are not as digital as their customers are. And I'll start and just leave that sentence hanging there as I dive into the content. So as part of the introduction, I just wanted to agree on 4 points. And this, I think, is obvious. A lot of people have spoken about our space and the MSME sector, which is the micro, small, and medium enterprises. And number 1 is that they play a critical role in the economic development of Kenya. Number 2, and this is according to the World Bank, that MSMEs in Kenya account for more than 70% of the country's gross domestic product, and they employ approximately 80% of the workforce. Number 3 is that MSMEs in Kenya face challenges, and top of these are the limited access to finance, inadequate infrastructure, and lack of market access. And it's, of course, because of this, it's difficult to grow and compete in the global economy. The 4th point is that ultimately MSMEs play a critical role in the economic development of Kenya, and with significant impact on employment, on innovation, and on economic growth. From that, I think we can all agree that unless MSMEs play in this digital space, there's no way we're going as a country in terms of taking our innovation forward. So I'll briefly go to the next part and just talk about us as an institute, why we started this and how we started. And ISB, the Institute for Small Business Initiatives, was really on a mission to support MSMEs, but this is a really broad spectrum of entrepreneurs. So in 2015 and 2016, we embarked on what we call the process of finding out who has the biggest pressing issue. And so we scanned the environment, we identified the underserved segment and sold that to small businesses. And so we developed an intervention, which we keep refining, and we deliver and measure the effectiveness. This intervention was our Advanced Entrepreneurship Program, in short AEP. And last year, just to highlight, we also started an initiative for micro enterprises. And our key partners here are the Strathmore Education Trust, ISEP from Austria, and Arctic Belgium, who have been our key partners on the journey. So when we look at who we were targeting for this intervention, the Advanced Entrepreneurship Program, characteristically, those who joined our program meet any 3 of these 5 characteristics, right? They have an annual turnover of, say, 10 million shillings or more, a credit capacity of 5 million. I think the bank will talk more about that in terms of credit capacity and what it means. Then we have 2 years at least in the same business, 5 full-time employees or more, and an undergraduate degree or higher of the participant entrepreneur. So as long as any 3 of these criteria are met, the participant was able to come into the program. And so after they did go through the program from the year 2018, and then the year 2020, and then 2022, we had impact assessments to understand what really was going on within the businesses. So the next one shows really what we were focused on when we were looking at this strange term impact assessment. It's really feedback, but with evidence, so that then what you're telling us needs to be verified with the records in your business, right? So we had, after training, we did the impact assessment, and this was a voluntary activity that we were looking at both quantitative as well as qualitative aspects. So when we look at the profile of the guys who took part from 2018, 2020 to 2022, gender-wise, there wasn't much of a difference. We were 50-50, steadily in 2020 and 2022. I think in 2018 is when we had more males than females taking part in our impact assessment. In terms of the education level, we did have quite a difference in the way we were reporting this, and this is just to show you the capability of the entrepreneur, sharing some of the data about who we studied after they came through the program, and this was really the spread. Notably in 2022, this was a really diverse spectrum of people who represented the different education levels, right? So, back now to the interesting stuff, when you're looking at our analysis and trends. Our interest as an institute is to look at how, one, MSMEs are growing, two, whether they're hiring people, and three, whether they're financially sustainable in terms of whether they can, for example, absorb debt, be able to pay back debt, they're growing their equity, and so on and so forth. So 2018 was a really good year. And the way we do this impact assessment, we take it in 3 years. So if we did the impact assessment in 2018, it means the people came into class in 2017, and we take the data 1 year before they started, so there are records from 2016, 2017 and 2018, so that we're comparing before, the year they were in the course, and the year after. So this is data now showing that spread from the year before and the year after. And the growth in terms of profitability, when you're looking at their EBITDA, was 101%. This was really incredible, and we were actually pleasantly surprised. When it came to the employment, we had a net of 2.2 increase in jobs per MSME within that period. And the debt to equity, which reduced, so they were able to, of course, manage the debt better, was also quite impressive. So if you remember 2018, the economy was much better than it is today. And so something happened in 2019, and we all know what that is. We've forgotten, we are all traumatized. COVID-19 happened in 2019. And it was astounding. We all know there was a decline, but we did not really expect that the decline would be so tangible, even in the outcomes. Gratefully, our candidates were able to, I can say, be above the average when you look at the Kenya numbers for overall SMEs in decline. But if you compare that 2018 and 2020, you can clearly see that COVID really hit us hard, right? So at this point, we decided to kind of, be more inquisitive about the data. And so we tried to interrogate and understand how the lockdown was really impacting businesses. And of course, because the first thing that went down during COVID was their resources in terms of their human capital. So in the next slide, we see some insights from what we call the lessons from lockdown. This was a market intelligence report that we did with Kasi Insights and Kenya Business Guide. You can, of course, access all the data there. And we saw that, first of all, we picked up the respondents from Nairobi, mostly, 74%. And when we're looking at the employee band, because this was a big topic at the time, how many people are we actually losing because of COVID in terms of employment being terminated? And the interviews were conducted in December 2020. So the MSME outlook from here in the next slide shows that 75% of the SMEs were operating under capacity, i.e. compared to before COVID. Then majority of the SMEs they cited confidence in the business. They were looking at a revival in 6 months. But in Q1 2021, right, we had market uncertainty due to tax issues. Remember, there was the minimum tax that was brought up. Then we had a tense pre-election and political environment, and then, like, adding insult to injury, we had the onset of the third wave of COVID-19. Yeah, it was a really tough time. Then, when we look at the COVID-19 impact on the next page, we had what we termed as distressed MSMEs who were most impacted. These were the MSMEs whose business models called for a physical marketplace. They tended to be less efficiently stable and so they were susceptible to economic pressures. If we go to the next slide and interrogate this further on the impact of the COVID-19 on MSMEs, we saw that the COVID-driven disruptions were due to the lockdown, movement restrictions, led to reduced demand and lower revenues. It seems like so far away now, but we lived through this. And then, of course, the MSMEs had liquidity constraints, which resulted in about a fifth of these distressed MSMEs closing down. So, that was BC, before COVID, BC during COVID, and now we have AC, which is after COVID. Right. So what about 2022? First, I'll take you back again on the next slide. We polled and we got the results from MSMEs represented by these sectors. We had the service sector, production or wholesale, or people who are really supplying the retail side and retail businesses. So let me conclude by discussing the overall insights. On the next slide, we have first describing our impact assessment overall insights, and it's clear that there's value in training. 96% in approval of the relevance of the content, which means they could apply what they learned into their business. You entrepreneurs could do that. And the average time to recover the cost of the program was 6 months, with the longest being 12 months. So there was value when they got this, they were sold on investing in the training and getting a return on the investment. This we could prove to them. But this was the conundrum. We saw that the improvement potential was kind of tapered at some point. And so that the problem was supporting entrepreneurs to optimize their costs. And the opportunity here is to optimize your costs with digital tools. So I'll just read through. I hope you can hang in there and follow a bit. So it's difficult to collect all the relevant information manually, right? So if you're in your business and you're trying to collect every relevant information, it's too much information. There are too many calculations to do, and there are too many mistakes that you can possibly make. It's also difficult to analyze the information you collected without software. So the participants require a long and specialized training in order to internalize relevant financial and cost management concepts and quantitative methods. So if you don't have the software tools, you have to come back to class, do finance until a particular level, quit CFA like most people, come back after 10 years to try and get it right. But if you had the tool, it wouldn't be so difficult. And without this tangible benefit, MSMEs will give up. But we're in a fast-paced world. You need these insights to drive your business in the context of a fast-paced world. So how can you maneuver the dynamic market? From the lockdown, I'll take you back. We realized that MSMEs that survived were flexible in operational and staffing models, which allowed the businesses to sustain operations despite physical restrictions. So people were working from home, people were working on shifts, some people reduced their hours, others increased their hours to work longer hours at night just to optimize. So the stable and strained MSME segments were able to pivot their business models to utilize creative and technologically driven solutions to sustain business operations. This was data from our SMEs. The technology adoption also opened new routes to market and new customer audiences. Though the digital solutions opened up new revenue streams, sustain the revenue during lockdowns, physical marketplace remains the primary channel for doing business. So now we're in a place where we have more work to do because we have our physical businesses, our physical markets, but we also have the new revenue streams, which are now growing and becoming more and more significant and important in our businesses through the digital space. All right, on the next slide, this is really the new normal. This is what our MSMEs are going through. This is what the corporate is seeing. And this is how the corporates are also viewing our MSME space. We're talking about inflation, VUCA, we're talking about online work, gigs, on-demand work, the digital marketplace, maintaining physical premises at the same time, and integrating both the physical and the digital worlds. So at ISB, what we know for sure from all these insights is that our efforts to transform MSMEs shouldn't stop at skill training. MSMEs' growth depends on further support on business structures, planning for investment and scalability, and the future is really digital. So we're really investing in digitalization to support MSME growth. So it makes sense. On the next slide, it makes sense that ISB and Zoho Corporation came together to partner to support these efforts of digitalization for MSMEs. So thank you very much. You stayed awake. I hope you got something. And we'll move on to the next phase. I'll take questions later.
I do remember at some point on having a certain conversation with someone. And in this conversation, it was for like two entrepreneurs who were in business, but they were in farming. So the kind of farming they were doing, what they were doing is that they were planting carrots. So it happened that someone had a deep interest in terms of ensuring that he does the right farming because he was an agriculture technologist, and another one was an insurance person. So what they did, the agriculture technologist, because he was very keen in terms of ensuring that he's laying the right foundations to ensure that the carrots are sprouting very well. So what he used to do is that he used to spend almost full time to be able to ensure that he's watering the carrots every time he gets an opportunity. 3 times a day. While the other person was an insurance person, what he used to do, he used to, at least once he gets some time, maybe once or twice a day, he'll be able to water his carrots. But now, something which was funny is, at one point, there were some heavy rains which came. So the rain throughout the night, and when they woke up in the morning, that person, who was an agriculture technologist, who was watering those plants 3 days a day, he realized that all his carrots had been uprooted. What do you think he might have done wrong? Anyone who thinks, what might he have done wrong? I know the answer is within you. So what might have happened? The agriculture technologist, what he did is that he was very cautious on his business by putting, he was giving water to that carrot 3 times a day. It made the carrot not to be able to have deep roots. So that is what affected that when now the rains came, they could now be able to find what? They could be able to be, the carrots were uprooted easily. And that is most of the time what is happening in our businesses. Because we're very cautious in terms of investing in the business. We're very cautious in terms of taking risks. And then we forget that for us, for business to be able to sprout, we have to create what? Foundations. So that person who was, that entrepreneur, the insurance person who was giving the cows maybe water once a day, it happened that they realized that they could not be able to do what? To have more water. So they had to create the roots, they went deeper. After they went deeper to be able to search for water, so they created that good basement. So this is also happening to us entrepreneurs. In your business, are you taking those risks? Are you that person who doesn't want to be able to create good structures in your business to be able to ensure whatever will be trained here, whenever there is disruption, your business is always affected. So make sure that whatever you do in your business, create good foundations, make sure that there are good systems, so that even if there is any disruption, you'll be able to realize that your business is what? Is a bit stable. It can be able to withstand any challenges and any disruptions in the market. Thank you, Marianne, for making us see on that sense. The next session, which we're heading, is a panel discussion. Questions open, you'll be able to engage. And also, if you have questions for Marianne, in terms of also the data she's been able to present to us, you'll be able now to have the opportunity to be able now to engage them. So what I'll be able to do before I hand over to our moderator, Raymond, I would want to take this opportunity to introduce our panelists. So once I'll be able to call them, panelists kindly, you'll be able now to move in front here, then we'll be able to start. So the first panelist is, I'll be able to invite is Mariana Court. So we'll clap for her. So Mariana Court is the Director of Programs at ISB at Strathmore Business School. She has over 14 years of work experience in innovation, information and communication technology with international exposure in Sub-Saharan Africa, Finland and Sweden. She possesses also a Master's of Science in Entrepreneurship, Innovation Management from KTA, that is Stockholm in Sweden, and also many more certifications. She also has wealth of experience in emerging markets in Africa, that is Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Ghana, Nigeria, Niger, and the rest. So she is also best person to be part of the panelists to be able to give us advisory on what we're going to discuss. A round of applause once more. The next speaker I'm going to invite is Robert Yahweh. And Robert was able to tell me that is a Yahweh without an H. I had to be very cautious on that. Kindly welcome him with a round of applause. He is the CEO of Synaptech. And other than being the CEO, Robert also has a lot of experience, having worked as a chairman, also serving as the chairman of the board at Genius Business Solutions. He is also a renowned coach. He has been coaching Quadrant Shift Africa, and also is part of us. Is participating as a part of the independent pitch evaluator, panel member and mentor at Strathmore Incubation Center, IBIS. And Robert gets satisfaction more on providing IT staff with peace of mind by offering real-time visibility on the data center infrastructure through implementing intelligent monitoring for proactive management. A round of applause for him once again. The next panelist is Alvin Juguna. Can they come? Appreciate him as he's coming. Alvin Juguna is a senior business analyst, East Africa at Zoho Corporation. He has also worked in various roles ranging from technical specialist, project management, and also currently as a software engineering consultant. So you'll also be able to give us a lot of expertise on that area. So Medicent Interactive partnered with Zoho, worked with Zoho, and basically they supported them in terms of integrating systems. And the core function more what they do is that they're supporting in terms of the implementation and integration, and they're also experts in cybersecurity. So they'll be able to give us expertise on how to be able to ensure that our systems are secure, and also to be able to offer support in terms of the implementation and integration of our system. A round of applause for him. As a handover to our moderator, I think he did introduce himself. He's a man who wears many hats. Raymond Mutura is a round of applause. Currently, he is a PhD student at Nelson Mandela University. He's also a director at the Center for Research on Organization, Work and Family. He is also a digital consultant. He has offered a lot of consultancies for different organizations from FinTech International. He also been a consultant for United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, and others know him also for his role being the president of the Program for Family Business Development, among others. Because if I start reading his CV, I think I'll take the next 2 minutes. Yeah. So a round of applause for all the panel. At this juncture now, I want to hand over to Raymond. Raymond will be the one now moderating on this next session.
I welcome my panelists for this panel. We're going to try and see the what, the why, and the how, on digitization. I think the first place I want to start is maybe Anne kind of told us, well, you see, there are those who come for training, because you offer some training for entrepreneurs. But even when they come, it looks like we are still not growing, or we are not still employing. And I just wanted you to look at that, and just from the perspective of asking the entrepreneurs here and those ones who are thinking, okay, I need to do training, I need to grow. There are those who have not come for training, and then I think you conclude by saying it looks like the growth will be in digitization. Yeah? But just paint for us that picture. What is it that they realize? Or what is it that the training does, or how does the training impact on them realizing they need to relook at maybe other parameters? Yeah, just help us to try and understand that whole business of what are those gaps among the entrepreneurs that training helps, but at the same time there's a future that they need to go to, that they need to think about.
Training absolutely helps. You can tell it from the language difference before and after the program. So before training, a typical SME owner would say, I have no time to come to class. My business depends on me. I'm running around like a headless chicken and quoting verbatim, right? What we hear from our entrepreneurs. And after they say, I didn't know I could actually delegate within my SME. I didn't know that there was so much talent and I needed to just let go a little bit to organize. I didn't know I could actually do my books, and it's not, understand what the accountant is giving me, and it's not too stressful to know what's happening. I didn't know I had time to now sit down and think about strategy for my business. This is now after the training intervention where the SME owner specifically comes to learn how to optimize their operations, understand really what their business is about, why they're in business, and organize it in a structured way, looking at all the aspects from their strategy, their marketing, to organizing their taxes, their legal matters, and understanding their finances. These finances are key because it's the basis for entrepreneurs to make decisions. You make decisions based on how much money you're making, where you're making the money from, who is willing to give you money to expand, and so on and so forth. So for us, the thing that builds a business is proper decision making, and we empower our business leaders to do that. But this decision making needs certain tools. And so we're seeing the gap that yes, you have the preliminary knowledge, but you need to be enhanced. And it's more important to be enhanced right now because your customers are being enhanced. You must enhance yourself.
Okay, so there is the issue of the customer is a bit more clever. Is what you're trying to say, and probably a bit more digitized. And I think at some point in your presentation you are hinting to the fact that we have to move with the times as entrepreneurs. Yeah. Now, if you look at the times, because if you look at this activated customer or digitized customer or demanding customer, I think he has seen something, and I want to pose this to Yahweh, looking at a bit of the history of technology, because I think we need to try and help the entrepreneur understand where is this push that the customer is saying the business needs to, you could say, align to, some of the expectations they have. So if you look historically in our technological space as a country, what would you say has happened? And I think one of the top topics, looking at when I asked the question, what is the key term? At some point it was playing around between online, automation. I think now I have seen the big one after all the summaries, technology. But maybe we all have this word technology or we have this word automation. But maybe if you put it in a historical context, so that you're able to help people understand, as a country, how have we navigated around this concept of technology? And probably then start bringing it down to the business.
Thank you. Kenyans generally are we assimilate technology and change very quickly. And I think when we were having one of our earlier briefings, Marianne raised a very interesting conversation. And she says her grandfather was a soldier. His wife was in the village. But somehow part of his salary got to the grandmother, which must have been what, in the 50s? Now you ask yourself, how exactly was that money getting to her grandmother? I think we used to call it telegraphic money order. Anyone who remembers telegraphic money order? So that will tell you age, eh? If you know that. I can see in the room there are people even who don't know what a phone is. Leave alone a telegraphic money order. So what you're calling mobile money and the rest is not new to the Kenya. Because I'm sure Marianne's grandfather walked to the post office, gave the post office person the money and who to send it to. The person then went and sat on a little machine, typed an SMS and sent it to the post office nearest his village. It was then printed out, most likely put into an envelope and delivered to the chief within the village where the grandmother was. Now that really tells you, if in the 50s we were already doing electronic money transfer, now you understand why M-Pesa was so radical in Kenya. But if you go to Uganda, it doesn't work. If you go to Tanzania, they're trying to make it work. I think we tried it in South Africa 3 times, it failed. So when you're told you're peculiar Kenyans, it's not an insult. It's that you've always had we've always been at the leading edge of technology. So Raymond is saying now we're looking at it in terms of businesses. So what I'm expecting from my business is what I have received, what my grandfather was able to do. Send money across the country seamlessly. So when I order an item online, I'm expecting it to get to me seamlessly. Not I send you a WhatsApp message, you send me from a website to a WhatsApp message, from a WhatsApp message to a phone call, from a phone call to River Road to go and see some 2NK driver and ask him whether the item has arrived. And that's what we're complaining about. There's a disconnect. We already have a culture of having things done efficiently. So why is it that business don't want to embrace it? Other times people say it's expensive. And I say, Kenyans have no problem paying for efficiency. So I keep listening to somebody saying, oh, M-Pesa is very expensive. I say, compared to what? We used to go and put money in envelopes and leave them at Kukena and 2NK. How much were they charging us to take 1,000 shillings to the village? Those who can remember sending money home, receiving money in school.
10%.
It was 10%. So to send 1,000 bob, you were charged 100 shillings. What's the Safaricom's? How much does M-Pesa charge you to send 1,000? How much? 13 shillings. So is M-Pesa expensive? Is it expensive? So why do foreigners think it's expensive? So what we are asking is, the technology exists, the consumer has embraced the technology. So the question now becomes, why isn't business embracing the technology as well to become more efficient? I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah. Well, maybe Out of the 10 items that we say is related digital topics, business requirement is one. And I think the audience here is saying the challenge we have, or the thing we need to put attention to, is business requirements. Talk to that, because maybe that is where our challenge is. And this question, I know there are a few other technologists here. Alvin can also be thinking about it. And this business requirement issue, how do you break it down?
I think there's one other answer which didn't seem to get much of a response.
Yeah. I'll tell you what it was. So there was business requirements, number one, organizational change management, number two,
Yes.
type of enterprise technologies, and here we're talking about ERPs, CRMs.
I think two,
yeah.
and I think what the difference there is maybe terminology.
Yeah.
For me, what is lacking is number two.
Number two, organizational change management.
Organizational change management. The owner needs to start, or the business needs to start having faith in either staff and systems. That, I believe, is what we're lacking. And I know we once had a conversation about what's the difference between an MSME and an enterprise, and the transition. And one we say is, if you as a CEO, still have the checkbook in your drawer, you're a micro business. And it does not matter whether you're turning over 10 million, 100 million, or $1 billion. If you're responsible for the checkbook, you're a micro business. If you're responsible for petty cash, you're a micro business. Doesn't matter how much you're turning over. So I am totally against the definition of MSMEs based on number of employees. And all that is based on the West. For me, it's simple. Who holds the checkbook? If you've entrusted your accountant with your checkbook, now we can start discussing small and medium. If not, where we need?
Interesting. So why do you think we are having a challenge with change? Break it down for us.
Because we still cannot separate the business's money and our money. So the day you come to realize that the business has its money and you have your money, then you can have somebody become responsible for the business's money. Simple mindset shift. And if that happens, and I believe that's why part of what Marianne said from the people who've gone through the program, is why you notice there's a drop in so-called profitability. Because they are mixed up their personal business money with the business's base money. Now once you remove your money from the business, then now suddenly the business has to take care of itself. And once you know it's the business taking care of itself, then it becomes a totally different conversation.
Okay, very nice. Let's hear from Mr. Alvin on the issue of, yes, we could say Kenyans have been educated by the M-Pesos of the world. As a customer, as a client, as a Kenyan, I know that there is room for something efficient because I have seen it. And an old mzee in Huko Mashinani has seen that I can move money with my phone and so on. So the customer is a bit ahead of the business of our MSMEs, and we are putting lots of faith in MSMEs. Marianne has already highlighted to us, and I think Yao is also commenting on it, that it looks like the understanding of the business is one challenge, and I'm hoping the program that Marianne and all of us are doing, because we have different entrepreneurial programs, to change the mindset on not mixing my personal money with the business money, etc. But where do you see is the challenge? Because I know you probably have approached many MSMEs and you're wondering, okay, fine, technologically as a country, we're switched on. But why are MSMEs not getting switched on? What do you think is the issue? Is this a business requirement? Is this a change? Can you talk to those two things? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Raymond. I think in terms of MSMEs, the adoption of technology, the willingness is there, but I think it's a matter of change management. Because what you find is that from the beginning of so-called ERPs, for example, the initial systems that were there in Kenya, to the ones that are currently here, the problem has been that either the owners have not taken ownership and also pushed for the change in the way they handle their operations. So when you go to buy something from a customer, they're still writing the receipt manually instead of generating it from a system. So the customer is expecting something printed because they are ahead. They've seen what M-Pesa can do. They have seen the different movements in technology. But the MSME still want to retain that manual check because they have an Excel sheet somewhere where they key in the receipt. So I think it's a matter of adopting to the change. And also, as Marianne put it, education is also very, very, very key. In telling them, look, Excel is not the end of the world. There are other things you can use.
This Excel story, why is it stuck with the MSMEs? Why are we stuck with Excel? I'm sure Edwin will also compliment. Why are we stuck there? Why are we not moving beyond Excel?
Okay.
It's flexible.
For example, when you want to change a transaction in Excel, all you have to do is just delete the row. Very simple. But when you adapt a system, definitely there is a procedure to what you need to do to amend. So entrepreneurs sometimes find it easier, instead of learning the process of proper transaction control, they find it easier to remain in Excel and just delete the number and life lives on.
Zakayo can be happy, or is it a Zakayo issue?
It can be a Zakayo issue. But Zakayo is quickly catching up. Actually has caught up. And I think right now, as in compared to around 5 years ago, the adoption of technology has really grown in MSMEs. People are more aware. When the taxman comes and tells you, according to our records, you've sold X, and you cannot be able, your Excel sheets cannot support that X. So you definitely need a system whereby you be ahead of Zakayo and show him, this is what I have sold.
Okay. So what we are seeing now is not just the customer. Zakayo has also caught up.
Yes.
So there are two potential challenges, or we call them challenges, depending on whether we look at how I can delete the Excel or not. But let's talk to just that whole thing of change and the business requirements. And maybe Edwin, you want to comment a bit?
Thank you very much, Raymond. And it's something that's very familiar, that I've been said. And to me, the challenge is humans do not like to change things. They are used to how things have been working. And I say this due to the experience I had. They're just changing a solution. We're moving out from the Excel now to digitized systems. And the issue is people don't take time to understand. And now the change management is where I put it on. The management does not communicate this well enough to show them, the staff, how valuable this and how efficient things will be. So for the system, as Alvin clearly said, Excel is just backspace type of thing. But you see, problem of such activities, fraud becomes such a very easy thing to do. And you can hide things now, but in the system, you can't. Once an invoice is out, it's out. You can't backspace. You either have to process another one or go to the admin, tell them this was an error here, and it's a whole other process. So if management can take ownership of that change, I believe, as Yao also said, if we already switched on, we don't have an issue to change. But how does that communication come from leadership? That's where the challenge is. If that is done well, I believe most SMEs will be in that level of digitization. Yeah.
I'm sure in your world there are examples, and you don't have to mention names. If you were to look at the ones who are changing, what is the kind of criteria or type of person they are? What have they done? That then the ones who are here, the Joroges and Wachikos representing the ones who are not here, can go and tell them.
And he signed the right to actually talk much about that, but let me talk about ourselves as we design. And how we did it, sometimes you just have to use brute force. This has to work, and this is how it has to work. You send me an Excel sheet, I won't approve it. Use the system, the right ways, the 3 levels of approval. So if anyone is not approved, why come into my office? It's follow procedure. And the beauty about that adoption is we are able to compare things all the way back to 2012 to now. And thanks to Zoho and the analytics that it gives you, it even gives you the projections. And you can actually estimate how you will do 2024 based on the data that you collect. You see, in Excel, even if you use macros and what, it's not as efficient. But with such solutions, you're able to expound and really have a lot of transparency. And it's easy even to communicate to the employees, this is how we're performing. So when you make noise, it's not just for the sake of it. It's because this is how we're doing, this quarter, what happened, what dropped off. Is it the sales people are not working enough, or is the work too much, or what has happened? But COVID actually was a very good accelerator.
So COVID is another one. So we have Zakayo, we have the client, and we have COVID. Yes, that eventually is facilitating a bit of the change. Yeah. Robert, do you want to comment on why would people find it difficult to move from either paper or Excel? Is there an understanding of automation or digitization they have that is okay, as long as this is working, we don't need to think about anything else? Maybe that is all they're just thinking.
You actually covered it with your initial presentation. This is not a technology conversation. This is a business conversation. Now, if internally the business has no processes, then it doesn't matter what technology I try to bring in. And that's why you find the owner keeps the checkbook, the founder keeps the checkbook in the drawer. Because the only way they know how to know whether payments have been made is because they can go through their checklists. So now you can imagine trying to convert that person to say, first you need to build in the systems. Technology, we all know, is an enabler. It's not a solution. Because ask people, have you digitized? And they'll say yes. And when you go in, you find out they have QuickBooks or one of the other products as a standalone accounting activity. It's not a system, it's just accounting. Why? Because that's what we are more concerned about. Yet we forget that there's a whole process. For example, before you need to do that check, what needs to happen? Do you issue LPOs? Do you have a procurement policy? When the invoice arrives, is it registered? Is it confirmed? Is payment made? How is payment made? Or is it that it's always a crisis? So all of it is about systems. And like you talk of Zakayo and the rest, and what we now it is, there's no more hiding. You're going to issue an invoice today, the government will know an invoice has been issued. So the government doesn't have to wait until the 20th to know whether they're making money. So the government is going to know on a daily basis how much money has been generated. Because you raise an invoice, boom, to the cloud. Raise an invoice to the cloud. So hopefully, for us also as business owners, we need the same level of efficiency. Because nothing as dangerous as government being ahead of you, technologically. Government is supposed to be playing catch up. Currently, government is ahead of us. So you need to be able to know how much money do you have in the bank? How many people do you owe who need to be paid before the end of the month, so that you don't go and buy tires for your car and then come the 30th, you're running around to look for an overdraft. Then you're complaining banks are not giving us money. But if you sent your bank a summary and told them, I need an overdraft end of September. Can you imagine what kind of a conversation that is with the bank? And you've sent them to say, I've done the following, I've invoiced the following clients, and my invoices which are out, and these are the invoices which I've received, and I've got a slight mismatch. I'll need to bridge this. I'll need an extra 100,000 or $500,000. And the bank can look at that and say, fine, let's start formalizing the process so that it's okay. Just issue those checks that you need to pay out. We'll honor them because you've told us what's going on. And this becomes an entire different conversation. Then we stop saying that MSMEs don't have access to credit. They don't have access to credit because they show up suddenly. And I just divert a bit, Raymond, because I think you must have heard my story. I worked for a factory, made my first job. And then one day, my boss was an Asian. So one day I walk in and he says, "You okay? You Africans." And so I go on the defensive. Now this person wants to start insulting me. So I say, "What?" He says, "Your supervisor's just been here and tells me, Mama amezaa kwa ghafla." I'm like, okay, so what's the issue here? You mean for 9 months he hadn't noticed the wife was pregnant? And that's how we run our businesses. The invoice is due for I had no clue.
Yeah, okay. So I think it is becoming clear that the taxman, the government, as you say, is ahead. The customer is ahead. But I think sometimes the challenge for an entrepreneur is to think, well, why should I change? Marianne, why should he change? Why should he not do the ghafla things?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's interesting if we backtrack and look at how technology is adopted. Yeah. Most times, even if you think back at how you started using your Android phone, first it was maybe easy to use, and it was useful to you. You communicate, you pay, and you do all these things on your phone. And sometimes that value proposition for the Android phone is very clear. You understand why you're buying it, why it's a digital tool you need. But for our business systems, that value proposition is actually, I can say, a chasm, where Alvin and Edwin will talk in one way, and the entrepreneurs understand in another way. So how do we bring the conversation back to the business and show that value proposition that digitization and technology adoption for the business actually helps the business accomplish what they're doing, or helps them grow, or makes the process easier? It seems that we have the wrong kind of branding on technology when it comes to how MSMEs understand it.
So we are back to the technologists. They have a challenge. Yeah? I think lately I have had a number of, some of the ones I was speaking to, did talk about the local consultant versus now they're beginning to go to India or they're beginning to go to somewhere else. And some of them cited the challenges of just managing and their own websites. So website, we have a problem. And this consultant tells me X, Y, Z. Okay? So where are you seeing if you were to look for some good technologist or good consultant as an entrepreneur, what would I be looking for? And how can I ensure I protect myself so that then I don't have to have a challenge of chasing or being charged 5,000 every time there is a phone call and I don't know what else. We really have complained.
That's very interesting, Graham. So, in that particular aspect, a consultant is like a doctor. Like you see, when you go to the doctor, you don't go tell him, treat me here, you go tell him, this I'm feeling, then he tells you what you should. So a good consultant is one who will come and look at what challenge you have, then he gives you a solution. But the issue is, people just go and put the consultant title on him and they just want to sell products. You see, products are yes, they're here for to be consumed, but a product is not one size fits all. It depends on what your company does, how you need, what business does it do. even if it's in the same industry, your processes cannot be exactly the same.
Who should know these processes? Is it the consultant or is it somebody else? The person in the business.
Person in the business.
The person in the business.
Exactly. They're not running the business, so they know how to run. So when they give you the processes they have, you're able to identify the gaps they have, and you're able to tell them this particular solution is able to solve all these gaps. Other than this one, will sell you a product for each gap. That is not a consultant.
So the owner of the problem should be the business person. Yeah. Any way to be able to present your ideas or concepts, Robert, from that business person? How should he quantify his problems? Is there a tool he can use to be able to say, this is my business requirement, these are all the things that I'm thinking of, this is what I need, even just from a broad perspective, this is what I want to do. How does the owner own his business problem so that he's able to talk to the consultant the right language?
You pointed that question at the wrong person.
Reaction.
Okay, I'll take you back to your spreadsheet.
Yes.
Yeah. I think most business owners know what happens in their business. They know the business inside out. But the problem is that they're the only ones who know the business inside out. The other people know parts of the business, right? So one step would be to just simply codify or record the processes that you go through in the business. And then as a business owner, you know where the inefficiencies are. You can also just write down, these are the things I think I'm having a challenge with. It's taking too long. Maybe three days to raise an invoice, and the client is now becoming jittery, right? I'm losing clients because of the long process. So think about your pain points and simply just write them down, diarize them. We encourage our entrepreneurs to write down their thoughts about the business and what they want to change, in our program. It's the same concept, just write it down, and that's the start. A good consultant, just give him the book to read, what you've written. And he'll be able to now interrogate and kind of translate what it is you want into a language that now the products can provide a solution for you. This is the simplest solution I have for our manual entrepreneurs, but I'm open to any other ideas.
So in other words, it's going back to the business requirements, I think that is one of the concerns, is to be very clear on how they are, document them, put a little diagram if you have of the processes, so that then that is always your Bible to speak to the consultant, not the other way around, not the consultant to tell you many things. Yeah. Okay, very good. Two more questions before I open the panel to the audience. Costs and security, because I think these two things are still a big concern to many. And the other day we had a frozen country due to some people from another country I will not name, or at least they claim. Yeah? So, and I think these concerns probably are still there. I don't know that Marianne, you want to comment. Do you think entrepreneurs feel cost and security are a hindrance to automating, to digitizing?
Oddly, I think cost is a worse problem to the entrepreneur than security. I think Kenyans are very open with our data online or the digital space. But I'd like Alvin to comment more on this because he has first-hand on this.
So the issue of cost and security, yeah. Maybe Yahweh, you can comment before the technology.
The mic has passed.
Tell us the nice part of the cost and security.
It's very interesting that the conversation was about why African and Asian businesses have a problem with growing. And it's more because we do not know how to value time. So the business person will tell you it's expensive to digitize. But then they have a messenger who does 3 deliveries a day. They have a tea person who makes tea twice a day but is hired for the entire day. Which means we do not value people based on the time they have worked. We value you based on your presence in the office. And I believe that's part of what COVID taught us, that we need to stop looking at employees as an attendance issue and more as a productivity issue. And once you know the value of time, then you notice that the conversation about cost changes. Yeah.
Thank you very much. In terms of costs, I can say technology adoption earlier, it was very expensive to actually get an ERP. And that's because at that point in time there were few and far between. And secondly, it was also very difficult to digitize based on the technology at that time. But right now, cost is not a major issue, yeah, for especially MSMEs to digitize. So, in the advent of course, cloud technology, we have seen the reduction in cost because right now you don't need a server to run your organization. You can run it off the cloud at an negligible cost. So, just to bring out Zoho, it runs on purely cloud, and the subscription model is very cost effective. So earlier it was an issue to adopt technology, but this has changed, and I can see rapid growth in terms of uptake.
So cloud is another, you could say, motivator. So we have Zakayo, we have the client, we have now the cloud, inevitable, and there was a fourth one. You're the one who has a big memory there. Yeah? I don't know which was the fourth one. But I think that's what we are beginning to say. They motivate us to enable us to automate are there. Of course, among other things, as Marianne has said, and also we are trying to do in the business school, we are empowering the entrepreneur to understand the business, to understand what they need to do with the business, to understand how they need to separate their personal money from the business money. Then once they see a dip, also to understand how they need to grow from the changes that they bring into the business. Yeah?
I'm also an entrepreneur, but I'm here representing a group of 1,000 micro enterprises that we have in a program we are running in Nairobi. And I feel, and I'm sure my team of 10 here is also feeling, where is the space for micro? I think the whole conversation we've had tends to go towards 10 million and above. Is anyone amongst you speaking to micro?
And I run a company known as 720 Holdings. We manufacture curtain rods. Quick question. When it comes to CRM, which we tried Zoho Begin, there are certain terminologies that are not very clear on our end. Say there's a need, there's close. I remember talking to my team and they were saying, let's change some terms to some Shen word there. So that makes sense. When you are dealing in Ghana or something like that. Yeah. So, and the other thing is the pain point. The pain point is, say something like quotations or storage. So I think the key thing is the developers or the owners of these CRMs, they need to have local people to train, because we bought from online, and I think we paid online, as we had some Zoom calls with some guys from UK. Getting to understand each other was difficult. So the key thing is getting to work with the consumers of this technology. I think that's a thing that I want to really emphasize on, and how can we custom make some of these things. Thank you.
Okay. My name is John. I represent, I am a management consultant, and I focus on circles, small circles, and providing a platform, a shared platform. Because one of the biggest challenges for small circles is how do they digitize? So in your conversation, where, given that small circles are a representation of other businesses, people who are trying to access low price loans, easy access to credit, DC. So, in your conversation, how do you see yourselves enabling the digitization process for, say, circles, right? How do you harness what you call subject matter expertise? Because a circle is not, they're not experts in management, they're not experts in technology, they're not experts in policy and procedure. How do you help in that digitization process from my perspective? Thank you.
First, the first question in regards to the micro. Allow me to use Zoho as an example. We have products that are even free, and you can log in and as a micro enterprise, do your invoice, accept payment, record your expenses, and generate reports, as Robert has said, that can be presented to a financial institution. So, in as far as the technology is concerned, Zoho can be able to support from the very small to people who are medium, also to the large enterprises. So the technology is there. It's a matter of mindset. And I think that is why we're in this forum, so that partnered with this team, so that now such knowledge can also be disseminated to the micro and small and medium enterprises.
Do you want to comment a bit more on this free? What is the catch?
Actually, as of now, the invoicing is a product which is known as Zoho Invoice. It is completely free. Yeah. All you need to do is just log in. You can even download the app on your phone. And the only thing that we will capture from you, of course, is your data and your and of course your location and all that. But in as far as the product is concerned, for now it is completely free. I don't know how it will be in the future, but for now it's completely free. And you can use it. I know people who use it for the past 5 years. And there's been no, all you probably mostly get is Zoho is launching this, Zoho is launching that. That is the most you get in terms of yes, in terms of just alerts of what is going on in Zoho. That is what you get. But you can use it and you can be able to generate at least your sales and purchase reports. It may not give you maybe your full financial statement, but it at least enable you to see where you are as a business.
And on CRM?
On the CRM side, I think the current product you're using is known as Beacon. We have a free product also that's known as Zoho CRM. And for that, you can be able to change the menus and call them, for example, instead of leads, you can call it prospects. In terms of estimates, you can call it quotations. And you can be able to change the menus to allow you, of course, to understand the product much better. So the functionality is there, and you can be able to move from the current product to Zoho CRM. I'm sure at the same level where you are, I think if you're on Begin, you can also move to the standard, Zoho CRM standard, which is roughly, it's slightly above, but not too much. And you can be able to get the functionality that you're looking for in terms of customizing the menus to suit your purpose. Secondly, I think right now we have a very able local partner in Lisbon. So definitely, they will be able, of course, to speak. You'll get an Indian somewhere. I know you've got some Indian somewhere, but you'll be able to get a local person to at least assist you and onboard you on the product. So that capability has been developed, and I think Vivian can comment on it further.
I'll just say something about the okay after, yeah. Any comment on either the micro or how the tools in Zoho can be used for micro?
Yes, actually, Zoho actually came into the market as a lifesaver because before it was only Microsoft, and Microsoft prices were quite high, and Zoho came in with a very, compared to the price you pay in Microsoft, it's actually a very affordable solution. And that's what I would recommend for the micro businesses. And for the CRM, we Zoho integrators as well. We can also do those trainings for you, just to show you exactly what those terms mean, show you how to customize so that you can do it on your own. So that's not a challenge. Maybe about the circles is what I'd like to comment about. Because we've interacted with a lot of the financial institutions, mostly the circles, because it's true what you say, they're not experts, so you have to come in with a lot of information just to educate them. But some are very, use the word old school. And some of these things, the moment you start talking about things, they already assume it's a very exorbitant amount of money you're asking from, and it's not really the case. But it's something which, with a bit of training, just to show, to come and do like things like gap assessments, to understand where they are currently, and be able now to draw a roadmap to show that for you to digitize, because if you just decide not to digitize today, it will become a very expensive affair. And over and above that, internal stuff will be that. Because that immediate change, it's always received a lot of resistance. So it's usually a process. It's not something you can just come and do in a week or two. But once you understand where the particular circuit is currently, we're able now to design a roadmap and show you based on where you are, these are the steps you need to take. So in the next 2 to 3 years, you will actually get to the full digitalization. And it's less painful financially, and it's actually adopted quite fast and easy.
Yeah, on the same on the circles, I think I was just expecting Miriam to jump in and say we can do a circle event. Because I think it's the same thing again, is the smaller circles would do better if, for example, they were brought into a room. Because what makes it expensive to do good systems for small circles is when you call a consultant. Because the consultant's costs are half of the circle's deposits. So how do you do it better? It's almost like what we've done today is instead of having each MSME try and look for somebody to help them walk this journey, it's easier when it's done collectively. So the same way maybe discussing how do we bring the circles into a room, let them give us their, I think you call it, their knowledge expertise. Because at the end of the day, all that a circle is a subledger. Otherwise, the rest of the activities are the same. The accounting is the same, everything else is the same, they're just a sum. So once you understand their nuances and you sort out their nuances, then the rest can be handled by the other system.
Thank you very much. Marianne, did you want to add something?
Yeah. I think I'll comment a bit later about what you're offering our micro, small, and medium enterprises through the partnership with Zoho. And I think also Edwin alluded to what they do, so the help is here. I'll comment later.
Very good. Just back to the audience. Any more questions from the audience? Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Aristaregas from Family Bank. I lead digital transformation. My question is, we could speak about the business, and then somebody did mention the fact that you're not able to separate the business from the person. So when you walk into our entrepreneurs' pockets, you find this business money and this personal money. I think as we move along is just to see when you do business CRMs, is there a module for personal finance management? Because this, our micro and medium have school fees to pay, they have means to Changa. It was to come from the same business. And actually, that's, in my view, what's the bigger challenge. That's one piece. The other piece is, yes, the accounting and probably articulated is there. It is well done and the training can happen. But as you move along towards payments of taxes, you then get into the nuisances of allowable expenses, salaries and all those things that then can help the business to reduce their tax obligation. I think a majority of the business people will feel I can use it, but then I may be caught up at the end and my tax obligation is higher than I can, and I've actually not even planned for it, which I could in the system. And I assume that's where professionals will come in and say, okay, I can take you through this. Is that plan in there? So that then when the banks come in, they're able to see this is an individual, this is a business, and it's all flowing and it's nice, all nature data.
Thank you. Morning, everyone. My name is Ayusa Ndieki, and I'm from 720 Holdings. A couple of things which I will agree and then pose my question. Actually, the government is ahead. In terms of, if you look at the bottom economic transformation agenda, the last facet is 100,000 kilometers of fiber. You know, seated there, that policy in itself, in the next 5 years, if they achieve that, what happens? Everyone is on their mobile phones and everyone is online. So what does that portend for us as micro and small medium enterprises? So number one, if you look at that is, I was listening to the lady, for a micro, small, medium enterprise, the key thing number one is sales. I need sales. So before I talk of even technology, the first thing is show me how I get the sales, then we work backwards. And what I mean here is, a lot of micro SMEs or small businesses, they're already having, when you talk digitization, the first thing comes, we are online. We have a Facebook account, we have this, and then we market our product. And that, we have to appreciate, is the first point of contact that we start from where the SME is. So if you are talking, and Alvin, if now Zoe is targeting the SMEs, first show me how I get the money. Then, when you show me how I get the money, then we come, hey, by the way, I have this CRM, it will now improve your efficiency, okay? Because what our CEO was alluding to, when we first saw Zoho, we saw it on a billboard. And we are like, these guys are coming now in Africa. So we are like, let's tap in and use that particular platform to enhance our process. The process wasn't that really good. And one of the things that we are looking at, even for our journey, our needs, when we look at technology, you start with free. And I like what you're saying, free. Because when something is free, as an SME, I'm like, let me try it and see what happens from that. So for us, our process, what we've been getting is, we've been innovating in our small budgets. How? Using the free tools. One of the tools we have is Google Suite. It's completely free. All those tools that we have there, for instance, I'll give you an example. We do quotations for our clients. And the way we do it, to use Google Sheets. Why do you use Google Sheets? It's on cloud, okay? It is free, and we just design a template, and our sales rep, everyone has a template, they can do a quotation. So when you look at that process, you are now using, locally, these are the challenges, there is a cost element to it. We don't have the budget. What do we use to actually enhance our process? And now moving forward, like Alvin, I will tell you for a fact, we need an ERP. But as you're saying now, the ERP, it's expensive. It is expensive. I know you're about to say, yeah, I know it's coming. But before actually we see that sense, because we manufacture, we're in the production space. So if you're producing, you want to see something end to end. From when you're producing, what items are there, and then use that information to actually get the analysis to help me make the decision to enhance my business. So those were my comments, and I'm looking forward to the response.
Okay. All right. I'm an HR person by profession. Here representing Joro, is a company dealing with hardware products and construction. My concern is on security because there's a threat that area. So I wanted the panel to elaborate how do businesses position themselves to make sure that going forward we are proactive, that the data that we have and the activities are not a threat. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So security, cyber security. Okay. There's one more. We can pick one more, Lewis, behind there.
Two more.
Or two more. Yes. Karibu.
Sorry, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Purity. I'm representing Indova Hardware and Construction. My query goes to Zoho. Do you have a platform for mining and specifically that will aid us in quantification of stocks from the mining? Because we do, there we have the wing for ballast in dust. So it is kind of complicated to ascertain the stocks so that you can book in for the sales.
Yeah.
Yes. The other one is, do you have at Zoho, do you have a way you can integrate with the KRA in terms of withholding?
Okay.
Back to the thing.
All right. Another tax-related extension question, and just one more behind there.
Thank you for the discussions going on. It's lovely. My name is Monica Karanja. I represent 5HR. We're also in the automation space, in HR and payroll technology specifically. So my question is also kind of related to where we came from and how we are moving. I think Robert Yahweh, I maybe can pose this to you because you mentioned it. How M-Pesa was the first thing that came in. Now I'd like you to maybe advise us as business people where we headed in terms of technology and how can we position ourselves and place ourselves in the current digitization space. So speaking for example on externally we can see WorldCoin coming in. How is that going to affect our businesses? How do we prepare for that external, external effects that are coming in? Internally, we're seeing the government posing in new taxes, like the housing levy coming up. How is that affecting our businesses, and how can we position ourselves, to get ready for that, and even for the future? I know it's hard to predict the future, but you can tell us from, you've seen it coming through. How are you seeing the business space, and how can us as SMEs position ourselves, and what digital platforms can we take up? So thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I could comment. He has made a very valid point in regards to separation of funds in terms of business funds as well as a business, as a individual funds. Okay. Within the Zoho suite, we do have a product that's known as expense. So that can log individual expenses as well as business expenses, as well as cash dispersed from, of course, dispersed from the business to the owner directly. So there will be a total separation of funds that are held by the business owner and the funds that are actually related to the business activities in the organization. So that one is there, and of course, I'm sure it can be integrated as part of your policy products. Okay. So the solutions we are offering and the solutions we have here are basically they're for normal businesses, and we are definitely understand the pain points of the MSME space. So we can partner with banks and we can partner with anybody in order to push that agenda forward. Okay.
I think there was a question of
the second question.
Yeah. Free versus also.
Okay. Let me briefly answer your question. Now we have a product that is end-to-end that has 40 plus products, all the way from lead generation or sales generation from managing your social media pages, all the way to converting that that interest into a lead and pushing it further to competition, and also allowing and empowering the salespeople to be able to capture the leads and to capture any information or any requests that have come through the social media pages. So in terms of lead generation, there is a tool within Zoho for that. And yes, there is a free version for that as well. In terms of the ERP, definitely we do allow an extended trial period. Right? So we don't force you to pay for the product upfront unless you're fully comfortable with how the product works and you're satisfied with what the product is doing. So we do give extended periods of trial, and of course within that trial period you can be able to evaluate and you can be able to see whether the product will work as you want. Yeah. Same case scenario for the MSME. I know you're using Google Sheets. The free version of Zoho will be able to do much more than what Google Sheets can do, because actually it is tailor-made for trading. So whatever you put in your quotation, that quotation can get an alert if the quotation expires. You can get an alert if you have said that this invoice is to be processed by a certain date. So it helps you automate your business and also keeps the MSME aware of also the expected incomes in the business. So in terms of technology and free, we are there and we are there for you. Okay. The third question. In terms of the inventory module that we have within Zoho, it is expansive in the sense that one data can enter in one form and leave in another form. Let me explain. For example, you're saying maybe from ballast, several products are aggregated from that particular item. Or let me put it another way. The butchery receives a cow, and from the cow you get different pieces that are separated. So the inventory module can be able to do that, and you can be able to separate one product into different applications of the same product. That is, we have two ways of doing it. We have what is known as a kitting, such that one product can be a makeup of several products, what are known as maybe sub-assemblies of the main product. So maybe we can have a discussion around that, and we can be able to see whether the product can work for you. Yeah.
I think one of the key issues, and having seen a bit of the history of technology, is this question of integration and customization and configuration. That already, as Zoho, you're saying you have 40 plus different solutions. How flex or how agile are you in this integration? Are you looking at, you have integration partners? I know you already have this partnership we are beginning to build between ECB and Strathmore and Zoho. And the thing is, sometimes the challenge is that you don't have people who can do it, or people who know what they need to do to customize, or how they need to understand the business and then bringing it into a whole cow into segments, for example. What are you doing in terms of training or capacity building for people who can be this layer of support?
Okay. Actually, within Zoho, we've set up a training center so that even individuals, if you want to come in and have a training, you can get a schedule. Somebody will come and train you, of course, without an Indian accent. So you'll be able to get a local person who will be able to attend to you. So we are building the capacity. And over and above that, we also have partners in this space. We are partnering with this Digitalisation is also our partner. So there are also integrators of Zoho, developers who understand the product end to end and have come up with solutions and integrations to be able to serve the needs. So the capacity is there, and it is even being built and enhanced to be able to serve.
Could I?
On the security or integration?
Oh, security.
Security.
But just on that, what would be after you? What would be normally what would have happened with the general accounting processes are the same. Once you get into a sales ledger, purchase ledger, a general ledger, accounting is the same, whether it's Safaricom, so what then changes are what we call subsidiary modules. Now, Zoho has a capacity to build something to specifically handle your mining part, because mining is a bit unique. You have explosives, you have crushers, but at the end of the day, what you sell is not the mining. You sell a finished product. So you customize for the mining component, then you have an output, which is your selling unit, which is ballast size what? What sizes do you have? Size 14. So when it comes up as ballast size 14, it now goes into a standard stock controls. So you now know you have 10 tons of ballast 14, but you've already costed it by the other process. What was going, so that's what would be a customized to get to. And that's the easy part, the complex part. The rest becomes normal business. I just want to comment on, normally we say, who is every business's largest customer? What do we call them? Your largest customer? Cash. Sit there. So your largest customer is cash. Isn't it? The person pays cash, and you give them a cash check. So that's every SME's biggest customer. Can you send cash a Christmas card? What's Cash's box number? You don't know Cash's box number, but then you're the biggest customer and you don't know their contact. Now, part of that is to get to your question on how you are doing your invoices with free things and spreadsheets. When you do not appreciate the value of the customer, because your customer's value is how easily you can get back to them, how you know how much business they are giving you. And that's why you want a system which gives each one of your customers a name. You know your customer by name. So you talk about lead generation. Lead generation becomes more efficient when you know who has bought what from you before. But if your biggest customer is cash, and that's where the MSME is suffering, where their biggest customer is called cash. All your customers must be known for who they are. And if you build that, then your business can scale. I'll just give a quick example of this fellow who used to run a stationery shop on Kijabe Street. So the young man comes back from Europe to the Mzee's business. And when he's sitting at the counter, there are people who show up and buy 4 reams of paper at 10, go off, come back, buy 3 reams of paper, go back. All of them were being issued with a what? A receipt written cash. This person shows up 4 or 5 times a day. But who is the one who has an invoice? The credit buyer, who does not pay you cash. You have to chase them for payment. But yet, that's the person who you know by name. The one who gives you cash, you don't know by name. So he literally came and said, he started giving tea to that cash customer. While the person is having tea, you generate an account for them. So that they give you now their name, their location. It's a one-off, isn't it? And every time they come and pay, they are no longer cash customers. Now they are customer X, they are customer Y. He now gets to know. Who do you normally give discounts? Credit buyers. You never give cash buyers discounts. Why? Because you don't know them by name. He then passed a directive and said, no discount for credit customers. Discounts are only given to cash customers. And their business grew through the roof. So when you're looking at the cost of a solution, ask yourself, how much money are you leaving on the table by not knowing your customers? Then finally, the issue of Google. Google is free, But imagine when you send somebody email with your name at Gmail. What does it say about your business? Then you give your staff members an email at Gmail. So who do your customers know? And a specific salesperson. When that salesperson leaves, who do they leave with? Your customer. So you're better off paying Google so that you have a domain email that you give all your customers. So when Alvin leaves, you just rename Alvin at Zoho to Robert at. So customer remains with who? With the organization. So many of us fail to understand that the customer belongs to the business, not to the salesperson. But to achieve that, then there are certain costs you have to incur. And that's what Google knows. That's why they give you the Go at Google for free. But if you want at your business name, then they charge you. So do you know the value? Then I think let me just answer one question I was asked across there. There is a lot of noise about where business lies. I looked at the definition of a micro business. It's supposed to turn over 1 million. I did the calculation for somebody who sells eggs and smokies at bus station. Do you know what he turns over a year? Wild guess. Give me a guess. How much do you think that smoking egg turns over a year? 1 cart. Eh?
1 cart.
3 million or close. 2.25 million. So is he a micro or a medium sized business? As per Central Bank, he is a small business. But I'm sure even the team at Family Bank will not give him an RM. Your RMs are working with the wrong people. Your RMs should be hanging out in town with those smoky guys. I know one of them who has 10 cards. So work out his turnover.
You can say something about security. You're a guru and you have seen a bit of security. We can start with Eliud. Then now you have something to say.
For security, as the other said, it's a very broad topic because it's not, again, anything specific. But in terms of security, it's not like how we used to do antivirus, CD, and that. So that doesn't work anymore. Where hackers are so smart and how they do things and it keeps evolving. But there are several security solutions which we present based on what your need is and how you communicate, how you see how you interact, and we're able now to recommend what particular suit to use. But yes, you're very right. Security is a very key thing we need to consider in business.
Yeah.
To add to that comment, because data laws are also here with us. We say the government is ahead in terms of tax, but also in terms of data laws, and this is something that we need to be cognizant of. But Zoho, of course, are also quite compliant in terms of the GDPR and the requirements.
On security, we all forget that the largest security breaches happen inside. So when you have your spreadsheet, for example, with all your customers and all their details, and you have a staff member who has a 5 GB flash disk, who is a worse threat to you? Some hacker sitting in Sudan, or your employee who can walk across to your competitor with a full flash disk that has all your customers and how much business they gave you last year. So before we worry about cyber security, can we sort out? Yeah, you worry.
Yeah, you want to comment on security?
Maybe yes. Okay, we're going to cover security in as far as it is concerned during the demonstration, and we'll be able to show you the protocols that we have in place.
Okay. I think in the last audience I had with the entrepreneurs, this issue came up. But I think there are several other things over and above just looking at internal security we need to think about. This is is contracts, support contracts, maintenance contracts. We need to think about those because they need to govern us, otherwise then we have a challenge. And then secondly, of course, once in a while, I think forums like this are beginning to help people start looking at the problem together. So I'm hoping that people can join the programs here in ISP, the ones in SPS. We have something for family business, we have something for owner managers, we have some people something for entrepreneurs who are beginning. Because I think it makes sense to start creating the network of people who are beginning to think of the same problems, so that then slowly with time, even just sharing among each other, we can get to know what people are doing. Yeah. So in that audience, for example, people started talking about good consultants. People started talking about people who can come and help you with the audit or can have a conversation with you about your systems. Look at what you have there, what is everything, who is talking to who, what are the controls in between, so that then you can tighten this in terms of procedures, in terms of job descriptions, in terms of the responsibility internally on the people who are working with you. Yeah. So I think there's a lot that can be done, but I think the important thing is to keep networking. So I think we've come to the end of our panel. I would like to thank Alvin from Zoho, Yahweh from Strathmore here, and also is a consultant in various things. Mary Ann is the director of ISP. She will say something more about the relationship between Zoho and ISP. And Edwin, who is also a consultant from an integrator for Zoho platforms. So thank you very much, these wonderful panelists, and also thank you very much the audience for being attentive to us. Asanteni sana.
Basically, I'm going to take you through who is Zoho, the products we have in Zoho, and we're also going to give a small brief on how our products integrate into your business process. So, without further ado, who is Zoho? Zoho basically is an SME, is a privately held company that has been around for 26 years with 12,000 employees, with a presence in 80 countries, with also 90 million users globally, as well as 640K customers. The customers are actual companies who are actually using our products actively every day in our subscription. Basically, we're privately held, but we're publicly responsible. That means that whatever data you share with us, whatever data you give us, definitely you'll be responsible for it in terms of security and in terms of also not using it or monetizing it to, of course, gain more customers. We have 55 plus apps in our suite as well. So it's a $1 billion company, actually not by valuation, but by actual revenue that comes from the subscribers we have around the world. We are profitable, and we are definitely focused and fully focused on research and development. So our products definitely are engineered all the time. We do, of course, case studies, and we also do customer awareness to make sure that our products are reaching the correct target market and are able to resolve the issues that MSMEs are facing. We have a global footprint, and as you can see, we have offices all around the world, and more recently, we have opened an office in Nairobi, Kenya, to be able to serve the East African market, and to be able also to grow the Zoho brand within the Kenyan context. As Robert said, Kenyans are very tech savvy, and one thing I can tell you, there are already people in Kenya who had already subscribed to Zoho, even before we actually landed in Nairobi. So adaptability is very good in Nairobi, hence the need to open an office to be able to serve the Kenyan customer. Now, privacy is of highest order. Our promise to our customers is simple. We don't own your data, we don't sell your data, and we don't do adverts on your data. So, for example, if you sell a particular kind of equipment, or you sell anything within our system. We are not going to use that SEO to be able to send adverts to you telling you to buy from here, buy from there. So the data remains with you, and we don't use the data to monetize or to do anything. In terms of the data, it remains with you. If you unsubscribe, we don't hold the data against you. You can be able to download it and you can be able to take it whatever you want to do. So we don't hold your data, even though we are cloud platform. Yeah. We also don't track any activities that you do within the Zoho sites. So that is why we don't pick any information on your trading activities or your trends, or basically what you do as a business. So there are no trackers on our websites, there are no trackers on our products and subscriptions. Yeah. There is no surveillance of what you do within the Zoho platform, and that is our promise to you. All right? In terms of data privacy and security, we are GDPR compliant, our files are encrypted, and we also have two-factor authentication. Now it has moved to multi-factor authentication, so that you can be able to authenticate your identity in more than one place. We can authenticate by your phone, you can authenticate by even your thumbprint, and you can even authenticate, of course, in the normal way with the password. So that makes it very difficult for somebody who is not within, who is not a user, who is an external user, to be able to access your data. Because of the cost, they will not have your thumbprint, they do not have your cell phone number. We also ISO certified in SOC 2, and we also have virus and spam detection within our website. So there is no way logging into our website we introduce a phishing bot to be able to pull out your data. All our websites, of course, are secure. And in addition to this, we are a technology company. Our stack is full stack. So we don't have services running on different service providers. All the hardware and each and every layer is ours. So there is no way when there's a problem with Zoho, we'll take you to AWS, call AWS, or call your local hosting partner. All the data remains and all the stack is ours. So we are one-stop shop in terms of your security, in terms of your data, and in terms of also the storage of the data. If you require additional storage, it's as simple as sending an email and saying I need additional storage. So in terms of our stack, that is our approach, and we are a full technology solution. We don't call ourselves a software company, because it's not a service we're providing. We're also providing the hardware. Right? Now this is the evolution of Zoho. It started all the way from 2005 with the CRM, Customer Relationship Management, and as we grew, we added and embedded more products to our platform. Yeah? All the way from projects to a deluge, a developer tool, whereby you can be able to create your own scripts and be able to create your own additional modules within Zoho. We moved to Invoice, which is now a free tool for businesses to use. We also have a meetings tool. We moved to reporting, whereby you can be able to do your custom reports. And we moved further to the finance suite, which is known as books, whereby now you can be able to generate your final accounts in terms of the trial balance, in terms of the balance sheet. Yeah. And we moved also to campaigns for lead generation, all the way now to very many products in terms of automation and within business. We moved to Begin, we moved to CRM Plus, and we also bundle our products as we go along. So within that period, of course, there has been learning curve, and that is why, as you can see, we are increasing in terms of knowing exactly what the customer would want. Right? Okay. So moving further, Zoho offers a broad set of products. We have a sales and marketing suite. One of our friends is using it. We have CRM, we have Begin, we have campaigns. We have a customer service suite as well. We have an email and collaboration suite. We have a business intelligence suite, data prep intel, and also embedded business intelligence. We have a HR suite, all the way from Recruit for application tracking. We have Zoho People, and we also have the finance suite, books, inventory, as well as invoice. If all these products are not enough, we also have what is known as Creator, whereby you can be able to design specialized modules that integrate with all our products. The beauty of our integrations is that you don't need to be a developer. All you do is click, and you connect to the different Zoho products. Yeah. So within one subscription, I can decide, I can start with my CRM and decide that I want to take it a step further. I want to integrate my invoice. So I also just click away and integrate my invoice. I can take it a step further and say I want to integrate my inventory. I click away and integrate my inventory. I can take it a step further and say I want to do my final accounts. I click away, I also integrate to Zoho Books. Yeah? So our integrations are not code dependent. They are just user dependent and they're wizard based. So Zoho basically is a business operating system with all the platforms and with all the apps. Now, we have a product that is known as Zoho One. Zoho One has all the products within Zoho in one platform. So be it whatever facet of business you want to automate, Zoho One will be able to take care of it. Yeah. We have the sales site for the CRM, we have the marketing with marketing automation, digital marketing sites, e-commerce. We have the operations, the subscriptions and inventory, as well as finance and books. Similarly, we have the HR support, as well as communication tool, email. Now, one thing I'd like to say about email, I think we are one of the 3 companies, Office 365, Microsoft, Google, and Zoho are the only 3 companies that provide end-to-end mail services. And of course, the good thing about our mail services, they're all integrated to whatever product you have. So therefore, if you need to send your customers a reminder from the financial system, you can be able to do that via email. Okay? Same case scenario, if your people need to apply for a leave from the human resource, you can be able to send emails to your HR and they can approve your leave online based on the system. Right. Okay? So we also allow for third-party integrations. We don't charge you for the APIs, and we also give developers a chance to integrate with their businesses. So, for example, there is a business that has a very specific need that is non-cost standard. I think it was recently, I was dealing with a pharmaceutical company, whereby they have to follow regulations that are set by the Poisons and Pharmacies Board in Kenya. So that was a very specific need and a very specific requirement. So what we did is that we told them, okay, fine, handle your regulations on your website because they are digital pharmacy, but you can also do the financial and inventory part from Zoho. So these are some of our customers, and if you'd like to visit any benchmarking, you can be able to organize and you can be able to go to these people and hear about their experience in terms of Zoho. All right? Should I stay there for a bit? All right? So definitely benchmarking sessions can be organized and we can tell you who to meet, where to meet, and who to meet, and you can be able to see these people at a glance. All right? One thing that we want to emphasize is that we have a local team, yeah? And we can schedule one-on-one sessions, right? So we are not such a big organization that you can't call Alvin. Although my second name is Joroge, I'm not the Joroge Raymond mentioned. All right? So you can be able to call us and we can have one-on-one sessions with you. And if you feel a need to visit our offices, feel free. Yeah? We've also partnered, of course, with local partners, this being ISP, so that, of course, in as far as the business is concerned, the software and automation is concerned, they can also assist you in terms of onboarding you directly from the programs that they currently have. All right? So we don't call up, actually we don't cold call our customers. We only, when you sign up for a product, regardless of whether it's a free product, all we do is update you on what is going on and what is new within Zoho. So definitely there's no given time that you receive a cold call from a number, whatever, telling you about Zoho, these are the products we offer. So we don't also pressure you to sign up because we also have a free suite. We also have the freemium versions. So we don't pressure you to sign up unless your business, you reach a point whereby your business requests that sign up. Because sometimes businesses will require that. All right? Once you subscribe to a product, support is absolutely free. You can send an email to us and you will not be charged anything over and above the subscription cost that you pay. So our support, we have a dedicated support team. Currently in Kenya, we have at least 4 guys, and If they are unable to sort out, we can take it to a level 2 escalation, of course, which is abroad in Dubai or India. Right? So within the SME forum, within the SME forum, we have a process whereby we can take you from the normal sales process or the normal way that a business trades, right? So the first step, as a friend of mine put it, is getting that business, right? How do you get that business? So we have a CRM, and within this suite we have the marketing suite, which is a social media manager that collects leads from either the website, it collects leads from the web chat. We have different tools that can be used as lead generation. And within our marketing suite, we also have marketing automation, whereby you can be able to send things like campaigns out to your customers in case you have offers. And you can also be able to upload the different lists that you have of prospective customers. All right? From there, it moves basically to the inventory, whereby quotations can be raised. You can be able to raise quotations and sales orders within the inventory system. And the beauty of this is that all this information is stored in one shot. So you can be able to know the destination of the customer. You can be able to know where the customer came from. And in that aspect, be able to do a campaign to him based on the product that they have ordered from you. They may not buy at that particular point in time, but at least you've captured the data. So 3 years or maybe 6 months down the line, you can keep telling them of the products that you're introducing in the market, and therefore generating that interest within them. All right? So from the inventory, the final stage comes to finalizing the sales and the bank transactions. This is done within our product, which is known as Zoho Books. Right? So Zoho Books is a full, complete financial system whereby you can finalize your product and at the end of the day, produce your final books of accounts. This being the P&L, this being the balance sheet, and this being any other and the cash flow statements, as well as a very important report to the banks, which is the aged debtors analysis, which shows how much money you owe outside there. And as you put it, you can be able to present it to a bank, and they can tell you whether they will give you more money or not. Okay? All right? So basically, in as far as businesses are concerned, we take care of the core businesses, which is lead to cash, and also on the flip side, we take care of the second aspect, which is procure to pay. So this allows you to have, whereby you're buying a product, you raise a purchase order in the system, and this can be automated in terms of the reorder levels. Because as Robert put it, there is a culture of kafla, all right? So instead of waiting for the inventory to get finished to raise a purchase order, you can be able to do what is known, automate that using reorder levels, such that if the product goes below a certain level, the system can automatically remind you and tell you these products need to be ordered, and you can be able to plan that procurement process. So basically, a purchase order can be raised, and you do what is known as a goods receipt or a goods received note or a goods received voucher, depending on where you're coming from, and this is received into the inventory module. So one thing you notice, this is a fully digital process. There is no paper that has been raised, right? So the stores guy will look at the order levels and raise a purchase order. Once they raise a purchase order, the purchase order will pass through the approval process, whereby, of course, the managers will approve or the people responsible, and then you will move it to the next level, whereby the same storekeeper will be able to receive the goods based on the documentation sent to the company. Same case scenario, no need for keep the entrepreneur storing the checkbook. You can approve that invoice to be paid, and it will be generated and it will be shown as part of the final account. So basically, what you have done is, in a one shot, digitized your business. And you have allowed yourself as an entrepreneur just to be an endpoint, and of course, your approvals will be done within the system, and you will receive alerts based on the approvals that you are doing. Right? So within Zoho, we also have strategic partnerships, and for SMEs as well as MSMEs. So currently we have an MSME foundation. We also partner with Stanford Seed, and also the Emirates Development Bank, currently externally. And for now, definitely, we are in Dubai. We allow, of course, the business, immediately you sign up for a license, you are entitled to a total subscription for free for 1 year.
Sorry, from a banking perspective, and you did mention that banks are interested in, now working capital cycle, which then comprises, the receivables and all the other things that are there. Where we'll come in is to say, would we have sight of sort of a customer's cycle and, cash flows for that matter, and see he's generated an invoice. He doesn't have that, cash to be able to purchase what he's making a purchase for, and then discount that, and that request comes directly to the bank.
If you want to have access to that particular portal, definitely that can be arranged. They can create you as a user, and you can be able to access those financial reports as an external party at no charge to the entrepreneur himself. So that definitely is one of the things we can do.
That feedback would look more from a case-by-case basis,
Yeah.
but more of from a global perspective. And I say, from where I sit, I want to target a certain, sector of entrepreneurs, and whether they're interconnected or not, but then I want to make sure that then they have the capital to do what they need to do. So rather than talking to one entrepreneur and say, okay, I'll give you access. Then I go to the other, I'll give you access, I'll give you access. But I have a global view.
The global view would be arranged as long as maybe you're the introducing partner as part of Zoho. So if you come into a partnership with Zoho and you have maybe 100 or 200 entrepreneurs, you can sign them up to the Zoho book system, and you can have reports from each and every company in terms of the cash flow, in terms of what the operations that are going on within each and every organization. But if they signed up themselves, of course, they would have to give you access to it. Okay.
The integration of the bank transactions with receipting, do you confirm it's digital, or at some point are you going to key in as manual record for the bank transaction? Are you able to integrate with various bank platforms? That is one. The other one is on payments. Is the system real time for the check generations? The last one is on received goods. Are you advocating that you receive the goods as per the barcode, or what is the idea on receiving of goods purchased? And in the event there is a difference in the documentation and the actual, how do you capture that with your system?
Zoho, with their banking system, such that you can be able to get real-time information from the system. And when somebody deposits a check, all you can do is allow you to allocate that check to the relevant ledger or to the relevant supplier at any given time. So that is definitely the end of it. In terms of the inventory, goods received, so what happens is that the first process is the purchase order. So once the purchase order is raised, you take it down to the next level, which is the goods received voucher. The goods have come in before the supplier invoice is generated from the supplier side. So it does allow you to receive partially. So you can receive part of the goods, but you cannot change the initial origination of the order. So if you had ordered a quantity of 5, yeah, and you receive 3, the system will definitely not allow you to amend the initial 5 which you have received. So you can only receive as per the order, as per the approved purchase order within the system. If you don't have a barcode system, that is okay. The system also receives on inventory line items. Yeah? If you have a barcode system, even better. You can be able to scan based on the quantities that have come in at that particular time. So the ordering process is basically taken care of. Once an order is approved, it becomes a living and closed document, and you cannot be able to amend it unless you have access rights to it. Right? So, thank you very much for this opportunity, and we hope to see you onboarded as soon as possible. Thank you.
be able to give them a brief so they can be able to have a short address to us. First of all, I want to invite from Family Bank, Aristarchus Kuriawero. Yeah, a great one. He's the lead digital transformation at Family Bank. So as the lead digital transformation, Mr. Kuria is set to provide us strategic and bespoke leadership the Family Bank Group as a wall on the future ready, next level of digital financial services and adept up next pro level of interconnectedness for the betterment of the customers, employees and shareholders on the back of neo digital value chains, neo ecosystems and neo super APP thinking. Preceding Family Bank, Mr. Weru has worked with Stanbic Bank as the head of acquisition, Standard Chartered Bank as the director in charge of commercial clients, Equity Bank as a senior relationship manager, corporate and SME banking, Barclays Bank of Kenya as a relationship manager, SME business banking, and at National Bank of Kenya as the project implementer. Beyond this, he has garnered experience at Freemice, the first fintech in Kenya, and at various fast-moving consumer goods and organizations. Allow me to welcome Mr. Wero.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Once more, my name is Kuria Aristarchus from Family Bank, lead digital transformation. I'm not alone in our venture today, so I will ask the people we came with to just introduce themselves so that then the people who are here, when we're at our desk behind there, outside, you know who you need to talk to on certain matters.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So good morning again.
Good morning.
My name is David Ozenga. I head the SME department at Family Bank. Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Dennis Kumbi, area monitor, Nairobi CBD.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kenneth Oyuki. I support the Chinese business department.
Good morning. My name is Felix Abwao. I am as a finance manager.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Waitabi Anthony. I'm in charge of microbanking.
Thank you. Anybody else from Family Bank? Asante. So, we're humbled as Family Bank to be part of this conversation with Strathmore University, with Zoho, and the rest of the people who are here, especially the SMEs and MSMEs. Our job as a bank is to do what we call intermediation. We look at Robert, he has the money, and we look at Alvin, he needs money. And our job is to just move that money from the three in between the parties. As we do that, we make sure that Robert's money is safe, and we make sure that Alvin, in the ventures that he wants to deploy the money, we have sight of it to make sure that he's able to repay. Our job is to make sure that he has the cash flows. That's why you have me ask, can I look at what he's doing when he's, making that funding request to make sure that we can pay back, Robert, because it's our customers' money. It's not our money. As banking go to the next level, most SMEs will say, okay, our biggest challenge is actually money. But at times it's not. It's more of information. And that's why 2, 3, 4 parties, and I like this, 2, 3, 4 parties come together to say, how can we help? In the traditional times, you would come to the bank and you want a facility where the bank will ask you, give me a piece of land. I think that's changing now. What's more important is to say, show me where the market is, your market. Can I de-risk that market? Can I make sure that the risks around that market are less? And then we walk in together and we lend to you from a cash flow basis. That's the future. That's what personally I believe. Even when we do asset finance, and we have our people in asset finance here, if I give you that car, there must be the source of repayment, the repayment capability. If there is no repayment capability, then I'm just giving you that car for personal use. But we can't ignore the personal piece, because like I said, in my belief, in the business person, at times especially MS, you get into that pocket, you wouldn't tell when I fuel whether it was for business or it was personal. So it's important to understand how the cash flow is and also think big. I would say something interesting. I was just watching that Strathmore banner there. It has one lighting, incandescent lamp. Family bank is next to it as a friend. And Momanyi, when he came in the morning, he was talking about Kodak, Motorola. And the bulb journey is very interesting, because we will not change as individuals. You will not get a new body, but you can transform yourself. So we used to have these bulbs. We then went into the tube bulbs. We then went into LED bulbs. Philips today has a bulb. You put it there, power blackout, that bulb is charged, it runs for another 3 hours. Which bulb are you? Which bulb are you? How are you lighting? How is your interconnected of that bulb? That's for you to cover. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Well. That is easy to pronounce. And also wanted to confirm that the Family Bank also have their desk outside there. So if you need, and I know you need any support in terms of the financial solutions, advisory, you can be able to visit their desk, you can be able to be supported on sale. I also want to invite Zoe Ochwango, is the regional manager Zoho, so that I can be able to give his remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Still morning. Just a point of correction, I'm the regional marketing manager, not the manager. Our regional manager is off, but I know most of you know his face, Virak Mark. And since morning, we've had a lot about Zoho, and mine is just going to be very brief, not to already bore you with too much Zoho already. So, by now, most of you, if not all of you, know that Zoho officially launched an office in Nairobi sometime back in April. And this serves as a unique entry point in this very special market. The Kenyan market and the East African market at large is a very special and peculiar market for us as Zoho, and especially within the Middle East and Africa region. It's this space here, Kenya and East Africa at large, has the biggest and the most unique SME base in our region. So even our strategy in reaching out to small business and all enterprises in this region is very unique. And fundamentally speaking, one of the reasons why the office is there is actually to train. We have a very big training facility. So you can drop in at any point in time and we'll be ready to assist you and help your business evolve with the changing and unique needs of business in today's ecosystem. So from all of us at Zoho, and we also do hope to see most of you. We normally have our annual user conference, we call it Zoholics. So if you start using any of our products, Zoholics is a very, very unique conference which, if you get to attend, you'll experience so much more about Zoho. And Zoho, as like all of us are telling business owners to keep evolving, we are also evolving. So it's during such events that you also get to experience more upcoming updates from us. So from all of us at Zoho, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for such an engaging session. The questions which you are asking are very thought-provoking, and you could tell that these people are very unique. You want to get to know something. So thank you, and we hope to see you at our desk.
Thank you so much. This juncture, as we're going to finalize on the same, I also want to be able to maybe let you know that the team will be giving feedback forms. So as we're going to give vote of thanks, kindly, it's something which takes like 2 minutes. You can be able now to take for us, so that you can be able to know areas in which you can be able to support more, areas in which you can be able to probably improve on, and also how we can be able to support you further. So allow me to be able to invite Mariana Koth, who is Director SB, so that she can be able to give us a vote of thanks and some key takeaways. Mariana, welcome.
Thank you so much. We also like to keep time. It's something that our SMEs have taught us, to keep time. But we're very grateful that you could join us this morning. We're glad that you really fully participated, and we've learned from you, and we hope that you've also learned from us. Of course, I'll start with our main sponsor, Zoho. Thank you so much for your presence and your support. And thank you for also taking the interest and working hand in hand with us as we also look to impact the lives of MSMEs. Thank you to Family Bank. I think this is really the beginning of different conversations. We've recognized ourselves in you. We hope you've also recognized yourselves in us, so you can take the conversation further. But thank you so much, and we're glad you could join us as well. For our entrepreneurs, our SMEs, our consultants who support SMEs on a one-on-one basis, thank you as well for taking interest, and we're so glad. Feel at home. Strathmore is a place you can make a partner in terms of also capacity building. Don't be shy. Everyone here will be able to assist you with information on anything that you may need. We also have our ESB desk right outside next to the Zoho desk and the Family Bank desk. You can also find out more about our programs, and we're a free ecosystem here. So if we can't help you, we probably know who will be able to help you. Further, I'd like to also thank all our panelists, friends of Zoho, friends of ISB, the inner Strathmore community, CROF, SCBI. This wouldn't have been possible without you, and of course, Robert Terry as well, who's been really supportive in all this. So thank you so much, and have a great day. All right.